Next item on the agenda is 2020-0160, Parish President remarks and report. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman Gibbs. I want to begin my report by thanking all the employees who worked tirelessly to prepare the parish for Tropical Storm Cristobal, and for all those who were activated and worked last weekend ensuring our drainage system operated at the highest possible levels. Our residents were well informed, and that operation parish-wide remains intact. We were fortunate not to have any significant impacts from the storm, and it gave us the opportunity to work together as a team for potential future events. It really was a good practice. We're happy that it didn't lead to any significant damage. I have a few updates regarding recreation. Despite the slight delay due to Tropical Storm Cristobal, summer recreation has begun and will run through the end of the month. Our Parks and Recreation team worked hard and got creative to put together some sort of summer program for residents and for their kids, and I want to thank them for doing that work. That's those clinics that we talked about at the last council meeting. Registration for fall sports is now open. We will be offering baseball, tennis, volleyball, cheerleading, tackle football, flag football. Those interested should visit www.scpparksandrec.com to register. Lastly, in accordance with the governor's Phase 2 proclamation, all playgrounds around the parish are now reopened. So residents can go and enjoy the playground equipment out there. In the coming days, we will be setting meetings with council members to discuss some of the important ordinances that we have been introduced, that are being introduced tonight. Please be on the lookout for an email from Rochelle to set up these meetings, as we want to answer any questions that you have before the next council meeting. St. Charles Parish is not only a great place to live and work, St. Charles Parish is not only a great place to live, but it's a great place to work as well, and we have a number of openings. And I encourage all qualified applicants to visit our website, www.stcharlesparish-la.gov, and apply. The current openings include carpenter, distribution maintenance tech, electrician, equipment operator number 1, and equipment operator number 2. On July 8th, St. Charles Parish will partner with Ochsner to host a blood drive at the community center. Ochsner is offering a free COVID antibody test to all donors. Again, if you come and give blood, you will get a free COVID antibody test. Blood banks across the nation are experiencing critical blood shortage in all blood types. Again, the event will be on July 8th at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and additional information can be found on our website. We hope you all attend that as well. Lastly, I'm very pleased to announce that we will host our 30th annual fireworks show. This year, we're taking additional precautions, including opening up our baseball fields and encouraging families to spread out, adding additional restrooms and hand washing stations, and requirements for food vendors like wearing masks and gloves, and making sure that everyone's following as much social distancing as possible. Everyone is encouraged to join us on Friday, July 3rd from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. at the West Bank Bridge Park as we celebrate the nation's birthday. The national anthem will be sung by Destrehan native Faith Becknell, and Groovy 7 will join us again for some live music. Additional details will be released tomorrow via a press release and a Facebook announcement. That's it from me.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Ms. Perrier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You mentioned Cristobal, and we heard from Joe Ganode. I want to say thank you to those that are out there during the storm. Anybody who has to go out during a storm event has, a special place in my heart. We luckily dodged a bullet this time. My prayers were that those that had just flooded didn't have to deal with another flood, and those that stayed dry the first time stayed dry again this time. But back to those that are out during the storm, what does it look like when we have a storm? Is it the same every time? Do we have different plans depending on the intensity of a storm? Are we fully activated every time, no matter what? What's it look like?
Yeah, so I'm sad that Joe's not still here because this is right up his alley, but there's a procedure that EOC follows, and when we get inside that cone, that's when that procedure starts, and we start looking. So by the time it's in the Gulf of Mexico, depending on where that cone is, if that cone is leading it into the Gulf of Mexico, we start monitoring, preparing. Joe looks at that weather every day. He actually starts tracking them when they come off of the coast of Africa and start working their way over. But there is a protocol to follow, and depending on what the storm is doing, at X hour, you call, you have that conversation about an evacuation, and you make that call. At, certain hours, you start taking these, what they call protective actions, and that is, the HESCO baskets and sandbag stations and et cetera. So, yeah, there's like a detailed kind of step-by-step, hour-by-hour instruction that we follow when we're doing that. And at a certain point, that's when your EOC activates. Depending on the level of storm, we'll dictate how many people we'll stay on and what each department is doing. We have emergency pay plans. Like if we call an evacuation, we would institute that emergency pay plan to keep all of our essential personnel here, and we have places for them to stay during a storm. So it is very detailed, and we're lucky to have such an engaged EOC to help walk us through that. But it was a good process, a good way to work through that for the first time.
For sure. And so there's really not a cookie cutter. It's based on tiers, like you said, and I appreciate all that. So for a tropical storm, we wouldn't have everybody activated in Public Works. That wouldn't be necessary.
Well, I mean, before Tropical Storm Cristobal made landfall, we had everybody, I say activated. We had teams, and Miles can attest to that, we had teams out every day, even on Saturday, the day before the storm, just picking up as much debris as possible, making sure that all of the culverts and everything were blown out. So you do as much as you can to prepare, but if that's a category 3 or 4, we have to make the decision to tell people to evacuate, and that includes a lot of the people in Public Works who have to evacuate. In some instances, for Hurricane Katrina, I was told, they actually evacuated all of Public Works pretty much with their equipment to a certain location. That way they could get back in. You don't want your equipment flooded and everything else flooded. So, yeah, I mean, but look, as you know, some of the worst storms we've ever had have been tropical storms. So we take those just as serious as other storms. I think it was you mentioned earlier, we've been very lucky. Hurricane Barry, for instance, everybody on Facebook, wow, sharing memes about how it wasn't anything. But, if you were in Terrebonne Parish, you had 9 foot of storm surge.
Yeah.
9 foot of storm surge on the west bank of St. Charles Parish is a bad day.
Yeah, it's probably going to hit somewhere.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you very much.
Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also want to extend my thanks to the parish employees, essential workers, as well as you, Parish President Jewell. I received a number of requests and phone calls from constituents who had issues, and every one of those were taken care of prior to the storm, which I think could have made a tremendous difference. We always prepare for the worst and hope, for the best. And I think in this instance, things turned out more favorably in our corner, but it could have been, worse. But I thank you all for your efforts. I know as a former essential employee, the amount of effort that y'all put into it, and it showed.
Yeah, I can't thank Public Works enough. I mean, they were put to the test, and they were tired, and they kept working and working and working, and they were able to get a lot of stuff done in a very short amount of time, and I can't thank them enough for their dedication.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Any other comments, questions? All right.